Travel writer Phil Reimer, our guest. He's also, of course, a broadcaster and a weatherman and all of that. We'll never forget you're the weather guy. All that fun stuff. But
I think with global warming, I'm happy to be out of it.
I bet you are. And do people still stop you and talk about the weather?
No, they'll stop and talk about ports and bows and a lot because they're curious. And by the way, you know, you were wrong there a lot during the 70s. I said, I was really. I didn't know that. Did I get better in the 80s? They said,
well,
yeah, you did.
Canadians have that reputation, as you know.
Yes.
Of being people who are consumed with weather, talking about the weather.
No, everywhere. Doesn't matter if it's Red Deer or Vancouver.
I know David Phillips comes in here, a climatologist.
Yeah, he's my hero. I think David is absolutely one of the best.
Isn't he great? His trivia calendar every year, and it's just so much fun. So let's go to the Queen Mary 2.
Yes.
Well, they obviously didn't hear that cleanliness is next to godliness.
That's right. Well, I'm going to give them a little bit of a break because it appears it was one area of the ship. I think some heads rolled over this incident because the Queen Mary, in its years, has had 3 100-point tests, like that's perfect, and they've been 95 or above. All of a sudden, they slipped to 84, which is one of the only major cruise ship in the last 20 years to fail the test. And they had it fixed within 24 hours, and I think people were redeployed and reassigned. But, you know, they get all the bad publicity because every cruise writer in North America, that was our story on the weekend. And so so damage control is in effect right now. They've got it fixed. Everything is fine. It'll never happen again. You can bet the next one's 98.
I bet. Well, I read about it on the internet, so I'm not sure it's all true. But it said that the splash pool was filthy.
Filthy. Yeah, the word filthy was used 5 times.
Filthy, filthy, filthy.
Yeah. Somebody really, whose area really dropped the ball, and I'm sure.
I bet he's
there
not
were
working
long
there
meetings.
anymore. Who inspects? Is that the?
It's the CDC.
The feds.
Defense. Not the Defense Center, Disease Center in the United States.
Oh, for control, disease control.
Every cruise ship that docks in North America, it's 2 cruises a year and gets rated between sort of 80 to 100. Anything below 86 is failing. I'll tell you this, so you know, 97% of the ships pass.
Okay,
so
that's good to know.
the major cruise lines pass, and 85% are over 90%.
And I'm sure they check the systems because if a virus gets loose on a cruise ship, you don't want the Norwalk virus.
Yep, I've been on a ship when 50 had it, and they lock it down, and no more than that 50 got it. They wrap all the food up. Instead of you selecting the buffet, other people do it for you.
Right.
And they kept it under control for the 7 days.
And doctors on board, I would assume. Is there a doctor on board?
Yes, doctor and nurse team as well.
Okay. So if you have an issue at sea,
go and get your pills.
You can get your pills or do whatever or get a deep...
Green apples and crackers for motion sickness.
Is that it?
That's Phil's recipe.
Green apples and crackers, soda crackers.
Yeah. And the other side is go outside and look at the horizon. Because inside the ship you're going like this and you're focusing on nothing.
Right.
You go outside on the deck, look at the horizon.
You bet.
That'll help you as well.
I took ginger capsules always, and I had an acupuncture thing, not on a cruise ship,
but on patch?
When we sailed, I always have a little. They make a bracelet.
Yes.
It's an acupressure bracelet, and you put it around your wrist. And when you have to look at the horizon,
it works for you.
We're like when you're at deep sea, you know what that's like. In a sailing yacht, going like, okay. Kind of embarrassing to hurl. Make sure you hurl on the right side of the yacht. You know, depending on which way it's bending.
You know, you were talking about Europe. You know that they put so many ships into Europe this year. Royal put half their fleet into Europe.
Really?
That it became a little too much. You can buy a 7-day cruise out of Barcelona for $4.99.
No.
Yeah.
7 day out of Barcelona.
Yeah, now they're spotty, but all I'm saying is there's some great sales to be had. Whereas Alaska, they took ships out, they took the head tax off. Alaska prices we haven't seen for 3 years. They've gone up that high.
And what's happening with Alaska ships going to Alaska here and
we're going to lose
out of
Disney.
Seattle?
Disney's here and is moving to Seattle next year. But Vancouver probably gain about 2 or 3%, and so will Seattle. So there's not going to be a great abundance. Even though the ships are full, I don't think they're going to move in.
So the popular lines, Disney, Carnival.
Yep. Royal Caribbean. You have your
Canard.
sort of mass market, which is Royal Caribbean, NCL, and Carnival, and then you take a step up to Holland America and Princess and Celebrity, and then you start into your next class, which is Oceania and Azamara. I call them Premium Plus.
That's
then
where
you go
the
to
prince would be, the princess?
No, he'd be on the luxury.
The Duke and Duchess
Crystals,
of Cambridge?
Silver Seas,
Oh.
Regent, all those.
Do they have butlers?
They're on. Yes, they do.
I know. I have a friend who has a lot more money than I have. She's going on a cruise where there's a butler and a penthouse.
Yes. I had a butler on a cruise in Mexico in January.
Really?
And I really had to say to him after a while, I'll call you.
Okay, but what's the price point on something like that?
Well, price point, if you're going to have, I'll use Azamara as an example, because they have butlers, no gratuities, and complimentary wine at dinner and lunch. So
good wine?
Yeah, pretty good wine.
Right.
And you're probably going to pay about $250, $300 a day, but there are sales that drive it down to about $190, $200 a day. So that's pretty good.
Well, it's all in too, right?
Yeah, it's all in.
So it's all in. That's your tipping, that's your wine, your food.
Your food, your entertainment.
For $250 a day.
For $250 to $300 a day. Yep.
Okay, because if you travel, as you know, by the time you do gas and hotels and all of that, and planes and trains.
But I have one ship that, if I recall this right, I think I've got to get it right, that's coming from Europe to Cologne, Panama, making the transition from Europe back home to this side of the water, works out to $47 a day.
Gee, I like that.
So that's your food, entertainment, your cabin, $47 a day.
Did you go to Dubrovnik on one of your tours?
Yeah, I wanted to tell you about that. A couple of pictures. One looking, if you go to Dubrovnik, walk around the wall. It costs about $12, but it's really, really worth it. And this is my shot, taking a look back at just outside the wall. But do you know how you tell what of these old buildings were bombed? You look at the tiles on the roof. And the new tiles are bright orange, which indicates that building was bombed and has a new roof. Right. And then the old tiles would be next door. And that's how you tell what part of Dubrovnik was bombed.
Wow, and the Adriatic is another spectacular place to be.
That's the
Greece.
That's the poor man's Riviera.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Greece? Have you been to Greece?
I'm going to Greece on August 1st.
Okay, well maybe the economic meltdown will be done by then.
Yes.
Well, don't get in a riot or
anything. If there's riots, I'm the one staying on board.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. Nice
Good to see you again. You bet.
Thank you. Phil Reimer, a syndicated columnist. You can read him in the newspaper in the Vancouver Sun here